In today's video, I'm going to show you in painstaking detail exactly everything you need to know to tune by ear. Let's get right into it. Alright, so before I can show you how to tune by ear, because this is a beginner series, I'm going to show you how to tune using a tuner. Feel free to skip ahead if you already know how to do this, but I am going to cover some important things, so you might want to watch it. Alright, so keep in mind from our earlier discussion here in the other videos, this is E2 over here. So this is A2, D3, G3, B2, B3, and E4. Okay, so based off of the chromatic scale, we have E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A. This A is also going to be the same note here. Because remember that trick where we can go back 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then go to a higher string. So that means that we can use these pitches. We can use the pitches from the lower strings to tune the higher strings. Okay. So here's how you're going to do that on a tuner. Alright, so this is the tuner that I've been talking about, the Delta Labs CT30. You can see right now I'm playing E2. So we want to get it right in the middle. Now when it's green, that means it's in tune, okay? Now a lot of times these tuners are going to oscillate a little bit. You see how it's oscillating between being flat by 1 pip and then being in tune? I try and get it in the middle or so that it oscillates 1 pip sharp. I don't like having a note that is flat, okay? So, you know, in the real world, you're usually not going to be able to get it to just stay in the middle. Now let me just explain something. So the tuning is based off of, it's called this equal temperament system on guitar. So there's a lot of different tuning systems out there, and equal temperament, they all have compromises, advantages and disadvantages. Equal temperament allows you to play in every key and you're relatively in tune most of the time, within an acceptable amount of discrepancy. Whereas the other tuning systems, you're very in tune only in certain situations, and then if you go outside of those situations, you're out of tune. So on guitar, everything is equal temperament. So if I go back to the chromatic scale, if I play like an F to an F sharp, that note, each note has 100 cents in between them, okay? This is a unit of measurement that they use just to describe it. So when you look at your tuner, you'll see each of these hash marks here. And on this tuner, we have the middle line, and then we have 4 hash marks, and you'll see a bigger circle. So basically, there's 15 hash marks here. And then if I flatten the note, you see now I'm a very sharp D sharp. So if I go to the middle of D sharp, that's another 15 hash marks. So on this tuner, from D sharp to E is 30 hash marks. Okay, so if you take 100 and you divide it by 3, that means that each one of these hash marks is roughly 3.33 cents. That's another reason why I like this tuner, because a lot of the cheap ones, you only have like a few hash marks, so you can't get as precise of a measurement. Tuning the guitar with just the tuner is relatively straightforward. So here's my E, here's my A. What do we got here? We got C sharp. So again, if you think of the chromatic scale, you got C sharp, D. So we could go up a half step, or we could go back 11 half steps. Because I already have a lot of tension on the string, it has to be up. So I go until it says D, and then I get it in the middle. Okay, next one's G. So here again we have an E. I have a pretty good amount of tension on the string, but I can feel some slack there. So that means I have to tighten the string. not going to get everything perfect right now. When your guitar is very out of tune, you want to just do a quick pass over to get it close. Then you have to go back and touch it up again, because the string will pull on the neck in different areas. So you always have to go back and touch it up if it's significantly off. So here we got an A. I like the amount of tension that I have, so I have to be close. So I'm going to turn it up to B. Another thing that I forgot to mention is, depending on your headstock, like I have 3 pegs on one side and then 3 on the other. You may have 6 all on one side. But generally the top, when you go counterclockwise, that's going to increase the pitch. Over here, it switches. It's clockwise. But if somebody put the string on backwards, it's going to be the opposite. So that's why you want to rely on your ear. I'm listening to the pitch go up as I'm tightening it, which is what it should do, rather than a generic guideline. Okay, so here I have D sharp. So again, E is a half step away. I like the amount of tension that I have. Now, when you're putting new strings on your guitar, one of the things that you're going to run into is what I talked about earlier in the video. Like maybe it says it's E, but you have a ton of slack in there. So if you think of the piano, you get the right key, you're just down an octave. You want to be careful when you put new strings on that you don't go too far. Like say you're in the right register. The string was manufactured to be at that register. So if you don't recognize it and you're just going really, really quickly and you go past it and you try to go up an octave, that there's a good chance that that string is probably going to break. I'm going to mess up all of my strings right now. And I'll just do this randomly. All right, so if we check the 6th string, it says it's an F. It's a pretty flat F. Now watch what happens here carefully. That throws a lot of people off. We went from an F, if I go back to F, we went from a very sharp F to a very flat F to a very sharp E, okay? And it looks like the tuner's going haywire, but really we went a small distance. The tuner just has to reset. So don't let that throw you off. Now, I'm E in the middle. Say that I didn't realize that that was the right E. I could keep going down the chromatic scale. Okay, now we're getting close to E here, but look at how little tension I have on the string. Okay, so it sounds terrible. So that's how you know that you're going in the wrong direction. So keep in mind that you have to, just getting the note in and of itself is not enough. You have to get the pitch in the correct register. So we said this was E2. Another thing let me touch on here is this 440. That is called concert pitch. So this A, when the E string is in tune, everybody in an orchestra will tune to that. And it's not just an orchestra, maybe people in a band, everybody tunes to A440. It's just, it's a reference pitch that they're just kind of arbitrarily deciding, hey, A is going to be 440 hertz. Now, you don't have to do 440. That's just the standard. You can change, see these arrows here. Like if I play a note right now, if I go back to 440, you see how the note is changing based on how much I change the numbers? So if you ever transcribe music from the 60s or the 70s by ear, a lot of times it wasn't actually tracked to A440. So you might be playing something and it sounds good, but it doesn't quite sound in tune. that means that they were not in 440. So you have to play with this and try to match your guitar so that it's in tune with the track. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play my E string is in tune. Okay, so I'm going to play the 5th fret. And now what I'm trying to do is I'm on my fingertips all the way here. And I'm trying to listen to hear, is the second note that I'm playing, that's the one that we're trying to tune. Is it lower or higher? So I got boo, bo, boo, boo, bo. It sounds lower. Okay, so listen, ready? I have to tighten the string. When you tighten a string, you'll hear the pitch increasing. Hear the pitch increasing? I'm going to go back to where I was. So I play them both. Now with this hand, see how the strings are ringing? I'm going to reach over and grab the peg and tighten it. And as I do that, I go back to where I was. You can hear that the notes are fighting against one another. Okay? That's called beating. So we're trying to listen to, it's a fast oscillation that I'm hearing right now. When you hear a fast oscillation, it's an indication that the notes are in a strong dissonance, which typically means that you're about a half step away, okay? So it's a good clue that tells you that you're close. So now I'm gonna tighten it a little bit. And now you can hear that, let me turn up the volume. You can hear that the notes are oscillating quickly, but not as quick as they just were. Hear that? So watch if I tighten it a little bit more. See how it got slower, the oscillation? As I get closer, it's going to keep going slower. Now it's getting slower. You should also try to sing the notes. Boo, boo, boo. You can hear that the second one's lower. Boo, 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 boo. Okay, now that sounds good. You know, reasonably close. If I check my tuner, I'm pretty close. So that's the basic idea behind how you would tune by ear. I'll show you exactly how I would do it. That's how I would practice it. You can go slow with it. So as I do this, I'm listening to the beating. It's still beating, but it's slow now. Now, the beating just went away. You can turn this off for this, by the way. So that's what I'm doing, is I'm listening for when the notes converge, the beats. That's a strong dissonance. You hear them converge right there? I'll do it again. So you can do that with every string. So keep in mind what I said before, which is that if I'm playing an E and an A, okay, if I play this note, this is G sharp. I have G sharp and then A ringing together. These two notes are a half step apart. So you can hear that strong, distasteful dissonance, okay? Anytime you have a half step, so that's a big clue for you. Now, because the target pitch is A, I could be a half step up or a half step down. So if I was a half step up, you hear there's a strong dissonance. So say that I'm trying to tune the A string by ear. okay, and I hear that strong dissonance, I know that the string that I'm trying to tune is either a half step above or below. This is where you have to listen and say, boo, bo, boo, bo. So we're a half step below, so that means that this A string right now is this G sharp. So what we have to do is tighten the string. So listen to hear it converge. Ready? Okay, I can hear it beating very slowly. When it's close like that, when you hear it just oscillating slowly, the beats, keep in mind that you're close, so it's going to be a small adjustment. If you can't hear it, if you can't hear, hey, am I a little sharp or am I a little flat, I would make a small adjustment. And if you hear that the oscillation between the beats gets slower, that means you're moving in the right direction. If you hear the oscillation get faster, then you're moving in the wrong direction. Okay, so look, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to screw up all of my strings. Okay, now here's what you should practice. I'm going to tune the low E string using the tuner. Okay, it's a C, and I don't have a lot of tension on the string, so I have to tighten the string. So I'm going to go counterclockwise. C sharp, D, D sharp, okay. Here's E. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is turn the tuner off, and I'm going to try to do the rest of it by ear. So, by the way, I haven't explained this yet. The way it works is it's the 5th fret on this string, then it's the 5th, 5th. When you're on the G string, it's the 4th, and then it's the 5th. That just has to do with where the notes of the open strings plus the chromatic scale. I talked about that in the first lesson. Check out the playlist in the description. So when I play the second note here, it sounds very low. I don't have a lot of tension on the strings. So again, I'm going to play them, and I'm going to reach over and tighten the string. Now, what I just did there, you'll probably do all the time. You're tightening the string and nothing's happening. That's because you're on the wrong peg. So be aware of that. If you're manipulating a peg and nothing changes, people break a lot of strings like that. Now, it still sounds like the string is too low, so I'm going to keep going. Now, you hear that beating right there? That's that dissonance I was telling you about, the half-step dissonance. So we're getting closer. And I just heard the notes converge right there. Now we got a slow beat, so we're close. Okay, I don't hear any beating at all right there, so that's good. Now we're going to go to the next string. A sharp, B, C, C sharp, D. That sounds pretty good. Now, another thing you can do is, if you're confused, is you can go like this. Flatten it a little bit. See how we got the dissonance again? Well, I'll flatten it a little bit more so you can hear more dissonance. There's our strong dissonance. Now I'm listening to those beats as they get slower. Okay, I hear some slow beating there. That sounds good. Let's try the next one. D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp, G. So I identified that the G string was too low, okay? That was why you heard me tighten it. Next string, G, G sharp, A sharp, B. You hear that strong dissonance. Watch, ready? That sounds good. B, C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E. That sounds pretty good to me. Now, because the strings were significantly off, you would want to go back and touch it up again. I'm not going to do that now. Let's get a rough idea of how we did. So sometimes when you do this, your reference, see, this is what I was saying, how you have to go back and do it again. See how much our reference tone shifted? Let me just do it quickly here. Okay, I can hear some beating now. That's a lot of beating right there. Okay, I heard that I went a little bit too far, so I backed off. And I approached it from being flat again. That sounds good. I hear it beating slowly. So I backed it off again. Okay, that's good. Now, when you tune by ear, as you get better at being a musician, I would actually try and play different stuff just to hear how the tuning sounds, but we're going to check and see how we did. So E is in tune, A looks good, D is good, G is good, B is off by, it looks like 3 cents roughly, 1 to 3 cents. E is off a little bit too. So this is what I was going to try to explain to you. Because of the equal temperament system, when you learn how to tune by ear, your ear is not going to tune into equal temperament. So you may tune it and it sounds great, and then you put the tuner on and to see how you did, and it turns out that you're a little off. Okay. Now there's a lot of things that it could be. One, I play with thin strings, so if you play with thin strings, they just don't stay in tune as well. You just need to accept that. I've played different points in my life, like with 11s, and like those things never go out of tune. It's incredible. But you know, like anything else, there's advantages and disadvantages. Like thicker strings, they're going to give you more bass, which maybe you like that. I think thicker strings sound better for cleans. But if you're playing distorted tones, they can get kind of muddy. So you might want a thinner string just to for that extra brightness to cut through the mix. So like I was saying, with thinner strings, they just go out of tune slightly, a couple cents here or there all the time. I mean, it happens with thicker strings too, but not as much. Another thing you need to be aware of is when you pick a string, you don't want to get under the string and pick up, because you're trying to get the string to vibrate in the wrong plane. Okay, unless you specifically want that sound, what you want to do is just extend, and I'm barely missing the string below me. That way I'm getting it to vibrate in this plane here. So another thing I wanted to mention is that when you come in and you pick a string, if you stretch the string at all before you actually pluck it, what you're really doing is you're kind of, it's a little different than bending the string slightly. See how it makes the note go sharp? It's the same thing. If I hit the string hard, you see how the string is bending before I'm making contact with it? So when the note happens, it's going to be very slightly sharp initially, and then it's going to normalize. That sort of effect happens less when you play with thicker strings. Okay? Because when you put that force on the string, it doesn't stretch the string as much. The thinner strings don't require as much force to stretch. So if you're really whacking your strings hard, they're not going to stay in tune as well with thinner strings. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to simulate a situation that happens a lot of time. You don't have a tuner, like say you're trying to play a guitar in a guitar store. I'm going to tune it completely by ear. And so the first thing that I'm going to do is just mess up all of the strings. So here's what we're going to do, and this takes a little experience here. I'm just going to play the guitar. It's completely out of tune. Now, I can tell when I play the low E string, there's just not enough tension on this string. Now, I don't know where E2 is because I don't have perfect pitch, but I've played the guitar enough that I know what the tension should feel like roughly. That still feels a little flat to me. I'm going to keep going. That's reasonable, okay? So that's going to be our reference string. It's pretty close. It might be D sharp, it might be D, it might be E, maybe even F. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to use the method that I showed you. And by the way, before I do this, let me just explain something else. There's a lot of different ways to tune the guitar, and there's advantages and disadvantages to everything, okay? So I'm not going to cover every single way that you can tune the guitar. I'm just going to show you a simple way that you can practice and tune by ear and get a pretty good result. Alright, so now I'm satisfied with my E string, so I'm going to use the method that we talked about. I can hear that I'm too low. Still too low. Okay, listen now. You hear that dissonance? You hear the beating? So I'm a half step away now. Now I just heard the notes converge. Because the guitar is so out, I'm not really going to go crazy trying to get it perfect right now, because we're going to have to go back and touch it up again. So let's do the next one. Boop it. It's too high. Back it off a little bit. Okay, so that one's good. That one sounds slightly flat. Okay, good enough for now. Now I gotta go to the 4th fret. I hear that half step right there. Not perfect, but good enough for now. Alright, now we're gonna do the E string. Boop it, boop it. too high. By the way, when you do this, you notice I go back and hit it again because the energy in the string is going to keep dissipating on you. Okay, good enough for now. Alright, I just played an E7 chord. It sounds okay, doesn't sound great. So we're kind of in the ballpark now. So now what we're going to do is go back and I'm going to show you how I would touch it up. Okay, and this is going to get a little bit trickier, but you could do the 5/0 method again. Let me just do the 5/0 method again, because that's probably what you would do. Okay, that sounds reasonable. You can hear that one's off. Alright, now I'm going to show you how I would tune it by ear in a situation where if I didn't have a tuner and I didn't have a reference tone, like if I'm in a music store and I'm trying to play a guitar that is badly out of tune like this. Okay, so what you have to do is you have to try and, this comes with experience, you figure out roughly how much tension is normally on the E string. Like I can hear this is just way too flat. Now, I don't have perfect pitch, so I don't actually know where E2 is. Alright, that seems reasonable. So now we can use the 5/0 method to get everything else. You hear the dissonance there. Now, I'm not going to try and get everything perfect right now because it's so off we're going to have to go back and touch it up anyways. That's flat. Hear the dissonance? Actually doesn't sound that bad. Not perfect. I can hear this string is out. Not great. Okay, so here's what I would do. Again, we're assuming that this E is in. I can tune the high E string off of that E. I can hear that that's off right away. Okay, that sounds better. I can play some octaves off of this string. These are octaves. Okay, now this string sounds pretty good to me, so I'm going to tune the B string off of that. Now, you don't know how to do this yet. I'm going down a perfect fifth interval. It's another very consonant interval, so this sounds good. That's sharp, flat, a little sharp. I'm just playing fifths, okay? Now, to get the G string, we can play the third fret here. Oh, I'm tuning the wrong string. Okay, I heard that it was flat. So that sounds good. Okay, that sounds good. So right now I got these 4 strings that sound good. Okay. Now I got my D string I can tune this way. This is an octave between the low E and this. You can hear it's flat. Again, I'm doing that 5th trick. Bip, boo, bip, boo. I know what a 5th down sounds like. Another thing you could do is you could play a power chord off of E. See, that doesn't sound very good. That's out of tune. You can hear it lock in right there. So that's a good. So I'm tuning the A string right now, so that sounds pretty good. It's my G string. Now you can play like a chord that you know pretty well. That's an E7 chord. Sounds pretty good to me. I heard the E string was just a little flat. Just playing stuff that I know, and I'm listening to everything. It sounds pretty good, so let's take a look at the tuner, and we can see how we did. So it looks like, okay, so my reference pitch was like almost right on the money D sharp. I was a half step down. I could tell as we progressed doing this that my reference pitch was too low. That's fine. So D sharp, let's see the next one. So it looks like I'm maybe 1 to 3 cents sharp there. That one's good. That one's a little bit more sharp. We'll see if we can go back and listen to that one. That one's good, and that one's good. Yeah, I can hear it right there. There we go. Hear that? Now, keep in mind, it can also change, especially if you play with thin strings. Thanks for watching, everybody. Make sure to check out the full playlist in the description. This is part of a completely comprehensive course that's going to teach you everything you need to know to play guitar in excruciating detail. Check it out in the description. Thanks. And I also want to say, if you're enjoying the content and you know anybody else, friends or family, that you think would benefit from it, please help me pass it along. I'm very happy with the quality of the production right now. I would like more people to see it. Like the last video that I shot was like a 25-minute masterclass on muting, right hand, left hand technique, stuff that took me 30 years to figure out, and only 25 people saw the video. So, you know, if we can kind of start a grassroots effort, then I think eventually the algorithm will figure out, hey, this is good content, you know, promote it. So anything you can do to help me in that regard, I appreciate it.